Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Peffley and I am the owner of Shelley's Wreaths and More. And today I'm just going to do a quick, well hopefully it's quick, a quick video on how to make this metal sign into a wreath, okay? And I got this sign from Hobby Lobby. It's in their spring summer section and I don't know how many they have left at this point in time. But I know that they're at half price. They were $19.99, and at half price, that brings them down to $9.98. So anyway, if you have an interest in this, definitely go grab them now because, you know, of course, everything at this point in time is on sale for summer, and they're moving right on into fall at Hobby Lobby. Anyway. So my idea is that I'm going to put styrofoam over on this side, attach a bow, and then florals, all right? And you ask, how do you do that? Well, I'm going to put foam on this side. What I've taken is just a piece of the hard foam, and I've cut it in half, and just in half. They come in 2-inch depth. All right, and I don't want, this is the size of it actually, and I don't want that sticking that far off of this wreath. So what I've done is once I've got the size, I cut the foam itself in half. And it gives me about a 1-inch piece in depth, all right? And I've cut the length long enough just to give me, you know, room to put florals and things going this way and then coming down as well. Now, you cannot glue anything to metal. I mean, it'll hold for, you know, a couple of days or so, but as soon as it heats up from the sun or any kind of warmth, that glue is going to loosen, all right? So the way we get around that is we are going to take felt. Felt is like a magical fabric. Felt sticks to metal, and of course, foam sticks to felt. So we're going to make a sandwich out of the metal using the felt, all right? Now, all you need to do is take, and we're going to glue. I know that I want my wreath to be pretty much from, let's say, 12 o'clock. Let's say 12 o'clock down to 8 o'clock. I want the florals to be on that side, all right? And I want to keep them far enough away from the F, in this case, so that they don't overtake it, and from a distance you wouldn't be able to see what this letter is. So I've determined that that's the amount of felt I need to put on that amount of styrofoam. So I'm just going to take hot glue and go along the, let's see if my hot glue gun is warm enough. Yes. Just kind of go along the scrolls, just with a little bit of glue. So all we're trying to do is just hold the felt on. Now this glue probably will dry by the time I get this felt on. I have my, there we go. I have my ceiling fans on because it's warm in my craft room. And that thin little stream of glue seems to dry pretty quickly. So anyway, now we've got the felt on the first layer. Now I'm going to put the foam onto the felt, all right, kind of along the same curve. I'm just going to dip them in my glue pot because actually my glue gun is too hot. It actually melts the styrofoam. It's that hot. So my glue pot is not quite as hot as that glue gun. All right, so I've gotten the foam onto the felt. All right, now for a safety measure, I'm going to take 2 zip ties. I'm going to just put them together. They're very small zip ties. I think they're 6-inch zip ties. They're thin. They're pretty slender too, so we're not going to see them very much. I'm going to just zip tie this around the back This is just kind of to give it a little bit more security, okay? I'm gonna pull the zip tie tight over that foam and around the back, and I'll show you the back. I'm gonna do both of these with the same method. Let's pull it around, and I'm going to make sure that my nub, this part right here, is on the top of the wreath. I don't want it, or it can be on the top or the side, but I don't want it on the back because it'll cause the wreath not to lay flat on your door or your wall, depending on where you want to hang these. So with that in mind, I'm making sure that the two connectors are on the sides, okay? I'm going to just clip these. And again, this is just for extra security. This one can get a little tighter. I'm going to zip it up a little bit tighter. Okay, and the florals will definitely cover these nubs. You don't have to worry about that at all. And then what I have for the back, let me flip it over and you can see that the foam is, the foam is on obviously the other side of this filigree looking design here. Now I have another piece of felt that I'm just going to put on the back, just so in case my client has a glass door that they want to hang this on, I don't want them to have to see or look at that all the time. So I'm just going to take this piece of felt, I'm going to just cut it to the contours a little bit, cut off the square corners, kind of make them curved a little bit, just so they fit a little bit better. Okay, and just kind of curve out this part. You don't have to take much care in this because nothing will be seen. It's again just to cover up, and you still will see a little bit of them, but it's certainly not as bad as this. Now I'm going to just take my glue gun. I'm going to avoid the zip ties. I don't want to melt the zip ties with this glue. And I'm just going to put that on the, okay. So there we go. And this piece, the back piece is just a little bit longer. That's not going to bother me. I was going to cut it, but it's going to be just fine because it won't see through. Now I can see this is a little bit outside the, I'll just cut it. Okay, and there you have it. Now that foam is not going to go anywhere, I can guarantee you. Again, the zip ties were pretty much just for extra security. Now, I'm making these for both of my nieces. My one niece, her last name begins with a C, and the other, her last name begins with an F. I wanted to show you how to put this on, but I brought the supplies to do my niece whose name begins with a C. She has small children, and I wanted to give her a little bit of a more whimsical design. So that's why I showed you the other one, because I had done this one previously. All right, so what I've chosen for this is summer colors. I'm going to be using this beautiful spray. I believe I got this one from Hobby Lobby. Yes, this one came from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to be using two of these. All right, one high and one low. All right, kind of this idea. Going to put a bow in the middle of it. I have some greeneries here that we're going to put in first. And then my highlight, other than the bow, is going to be these gigantic popsicles. I thought that's kind of whimsical and gives the feeling of summer. Nothing says summer like a popsicle, does it? All right, so that's pretty much the design elements. I have a few other different florals back here to add to these. When we get to that point, I'll show you them. But right now, I'm just going to start just putting in a little bit of greenery. All right, I'm going to start with this ivy. You can see that this is not a full bush. I've already used parts of it. But I just want to create the lines with this ivy. And by creating the lines, I mean just kind of give the floral side of this some outline, shall we say, the floral side of this wreath. All right, so this is a long piece, and I'm going to bring this downward. I'm just going to kind of curve it, dip it in my glue pot. If you don't have a glue pot, and this glue pot is really just an electric skillet I got from Target. It's an 8x8 skillet, and I just melt glue sticks in it. But it makes it easier because I just like to dip and stick. Okay, now with ivy, I've put this first one in, and you can see that it's kind of starting the line of our wreath portion of this design. And I'm just going to take and push. There we go. I just took the stem and pushed it underneath one of these little swirlies. All right, and it just holds it in place. It's not you know, dire that you do that, but I just like to do it because I don't want it to swing around until I get the other greenery in. I'm taking this other piece, which is the longest of the ones that I have remaining, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to put it here at the top. All right. And again, remember I told you I was going to go kind of from a little after 12, maybe down to, this is 6 o'clock, but I don't want my florals to be too much further than that. So anyway, let's put this in. I'm just sticking it into the foam, kind of the bottom of the foam, curling this around again, just to, okay. Now these other pieces are just going to go and fill out the sides. I have 5 of these pieces, so they're not as important. They're going to kind of just give us a little filler. And again, I'm going to make an effort to not cover up the C, not come in that thickly into the middle of the wreath. I'm going to just fill out I can build out this way a little bit more, but I don't want to come across the C too much. Only so it retains its character, you know, and can be seen. I'm just going to stick these in. Just finish out these. I have 2 more pieces. I'm going to cut this one a little bit shorter. You may think that, you know, how can we possibly, with that thin foam, that foam, believe it or not, will hold a lot of materials. It doesn't require, it's the thicker foam, it's the hard foam, I believe is what they call it. This one I'm just going to bend upward a little bit, okay, to give the wreath dimension. And this last one I'm going to put on the outside. And we're pretty much done then with the ivy. I'm not going to, you know, put too much more ivy into it. Now, the next greenery that I would like to use, so I'm just going to use a few pieces of this fern here. Okay, these pieces break off into 3. I'm going to cut them into 3 pieces. There we go. All right, and these are just going to lay on top. We're just layering. Again, just push it into the foam. Actually, this piece is a little, the stem on that piece was a little bit too flimsy. So I don't want to put that in. Let's see. Now you can put it on the top of the foam. You don't have to put it into the sides of the foam. You can put it in the top of the foam, just as that I did there. The same with this piece. Okay, you'll see then that it gives it a little bit of dimension. All right, this is the last piece on the first 3 that I cut. I'm going to go in underneath this ivy and just bring this fern up alongside the top ivy. Okay, just to bring it in a little bit. Again, keeping that C as open as possible. I'm just going to cut a few more pieces off. I used all 3 of those. Let's just use 3 more. Do the same process. I have a light green one down here. I'm going to use the darker greens down here. Okay. I'm going to go down here to the corner so that this can trail over a little bit. And I have the 2 other pieces. And then we can, I don't want to inundate too much on one particular greenery, so we'll just use basically 6 pieces of this fern and then be done. Okay, now this one I'm going to put in at the top, but it's going to be angled downward, down the side. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with this one, but it's going to go up to the top and fill out the outside. Okay, so that pretty much is the greenery that we're going to start with. Now I feel comfortable taking this floral pick and putting it into the arrangement. Now you can put this whole pick in at once, or you can break it up. And what we're going to do is, let me take the price off. Easier said than done. You can see that this has the greenery has qualities similar to the ivy. You know, don't know that it's ivy for sure, but okay. Now you can see on the back here that we have a kind of a breaking point. We have flowers here and then a longer branch. And see, I want the branch to come. If I put this whole thing in, you can see the stem is way too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break it in half. I'm going to cut it right here and get 2 pieces out of this one. We're going to do the same thing with the other one as well. But there we go. So this piece, let's open up all of the greenery, spread it out, give it some life, get some berries, get some of the greenery on this side. Let's put these leaves over on this side as well. All I'm doing is just kind of manipulating it. These items are all wired, so it's pretty easy to bend them to how you want them to bend. And I'm just going to push this flower back a little bit so that the berries come in between. Kind of hides the stems a bit. Okay, so that is going to go up to the top of my arrangement. This may need a little help. I'm putting it in through the top of the foam. And this may need a little bit of help to some kind of support. So I'm going to, after I get all this and mingle some of these other greeneries that we have already put down, all right, I'm going to take and grab a zip tie. And I'm just going to make sure that this branch, which is pretty heavy, and we're again using a small amount of foam, so I'm just going to take and zip tie the bottom of the this leaf here, or this branch here. I'm just going to take and zip tie it to one of my pretty scroll work up here. And then at the end, when I'm all done, I'll take a little bit of moss and just moss or felt. I can put a dab of felt over it as well. Now this is just, again, to help secure what I consider a rather thick branch using a small amount of foam. I just wanted to give it a little extra security. And see, you won't even see the zip tie, at least from the front. You would from the back, but we'll take care of that at the end when the wreath is all finished and designed up. Okay, so now that branch is not going to go anywhere. And you can see that we're still pretty much staying within our guidelines of 12 o'clock. Okay, now this next piece to this is all of these flowers. All right, and I can, if I break this apart, I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to just take and quickly separate these, because look at this stem is so thick. Even if I cut it down here, to put it in, it takes up so much real estate on this foam. And it really doesn't need to. So I'm just going to cut all of these off singly and just reconstruct it right back into the foam itself. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so all the pieces are off of there. And we're just going to take, let's take this flower here. Now I'm going to I have a pick machine. And this puts steel picks onto my floral stems. And I'm not going to use it for all of them, but this particular flower only has a small stem once I cut it off. So I'm just going to put this steel pick on. All right. Now, if you don't have a steel pick machine, you can certainly buy those floral picks from Hobby Lobby. They're green sticks with a little bit of a copper wire that you just wrap it around the stem, and it extends your stem quite similarly as this steel pick does. Okay, so I'm just taking my time. I'm going to put all the florals in first. All right, just kind of going all different directions and dimension. That's the beauty of having that foam there. And this one's just a little too long. I'm going to just cut it down a few, maybe about an inch, so that it kind of falls right in this area. Okay, and this last one here, I'm going to put on this side. All right, now we have a number of berries from this pick. All right, we're just, again, filling in. Have them come out a bit. This last one. I'm going to run right up the side. Going to the side of the foam. All right. You know, let's take this one out because it's very close to this one in size and look. And let's just put it down this direction here. Okay. There we go. And we just see the stem hanging out. I have a few pieces of greenery and leaves that we can fill in with. And again, I don't mind if my greenery comes up and over the flowers. That's how it is in nature. You know, nothing grows straight, nothing grows in a particular line. Let's put this leaf. The stem is a little long. I'm just trimming it up a bit. Filling in a little background. Now that one I may have to trim out after I get my popsicles in. I'm going to see if that overtakes the C too much. I'll give it a look at that point. And I'm going to save these leaves because in the middle here I want to get a bow still. and I want to get my popsicles. So let's just see how this is laying. Now I may need to take this flower out and put it up a little higher, but I have other flowers that I can fill in too. So let's just move, before we do the bottom half with the other, I do want to show you that the popsicles are going to go in. Now you don't need to use something whimsical like this. You can just do straight up florals, and that'll be absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so it comes with a stick. I love to show the stick. I don't want to take that stick and hide it in any way. So here's one. I'm just I haven't glued it in. I just want to see how this is all going to look. I might have to go a little bit higher with it. And I have a yellow popsicle here somewhere. Oh, here it is. It's hiding. Okay. This one. Okay, so that's pretty much how we want them. Now, you can take this and you can bend it downward. Okay, so by giving it a 90-degree bend and trimming it up. You can stick this into the floral foam, okay, down into it. All right. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a little glue on it, push it down into the foam, and then move the flowers around it. Okay. This stem, now that I'm happy with where it's going to go, I'm just going to stick glue on it, stick it right back into the hole that I had previously given it. And then we can just bend our flowers and greenery and things around this. Okay, so that it kind of comes out. Okay, so this little flower looks a little bit stuck there. Let's just take him out, because he was placed in there before we really had it. And I salvaged it. I'll just put it in as soon as I get the rest of the items in. Now let's make a bow for this area, and then from there we'll construct the bottom half of the arrangement. Okay, the bow is kind of, in my eye, I think it's going to, because it's going to be a little bit lower, it'll bring some weight to the bottom of this to counterbalance the weight, the look of the weight, shall we say, of the two popsicles. And the reason I put the two popsicles this way is I just didn't want a popsicle hanging downward. Of course, that may change when I get the bow in. Maybe I'll change my mind. And that's one thing I always tell everybody is nothing is permanent. You can change things up. Even though you've used glue, you just have to muscle it out and it'll be fine. It'll all work out. Okay, let's build a bow quickly. And I'm just going to use, let me tuck this to the side. I use a bow maker. And I've chosen these color ribbons. All right. I have a kind of a pinky orange apricot-y color. I'm not quite sure what color I would call that, but it's not straight up pink. It's not straight up orange, and it actually matches with this floral. So it's kind of a coral color. Then we have the green to pull in the popsicle, and then the yellow to match the other popsicle as well as the other flowers. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'd like to take, I don't know if I like the the yellow right on top of that apricot. So I'm going to use the green as a middle. And I'm just going to make a bow with 2 loops on each, one on each side. Okay, and if you haven't used a bow maker before, you get a zip tie. All right. All we're going to do is we're going to make X's on this between the 2 pegs. Okay, so we're going to take our tail. It's called the tail and loops is what makes a bow. I'm going to make a pretty long tail. Let's say probably about 16 inches. You can always cut it down, but you can't add it back. So if I end up having to trim off an inch or so, it's not going to be too bad. Okay, I'm going to take, and once I get my first ribbon in with the good side up, I'm going to twist it so that the bad side, shall we say, is facing upward, because we're going to come over and make a loop. All right, so you can see now that the loop is the correct color because we made that twist in the middle. Now I'm going to start with an 8-inch loop. The reason I know it's 8 inches because there's an 8-inch mark here. So I'm going to take it, when I get to the middle, I'm going to do a same twist again. That way the incorrect side of the ribbon, I don't want to say wrong side, it's in this case you can go either way because this ribbon is double-sided, but it's the side we're not using, as the primary color. Okay, now I come in, I've made an 8-inch on this side as well, and I'm going to just compress it down in the middle, okay, because I'm done making loops and I want the correct side of my ribbon showing. And I'm just going to cut this one shorter than this one, okay, because this one is going to go upwards. So our bow is going to be going into the wreath lengthwise, not across, but lengthwise. Now I'm going to take my next ribbon, and this will all make sense when I pull it off and I show you what I mean by that. Okay, now I'm going to take, and I want this ribbon to be the same kind of as this one. So I'm going to twist it. All right. So you can see that I've twisted it so the correct side is on that side. I'm going to make a slightly smaller bow than this one. Okay. It's probably a 7-inch loop. I'm going to twist it in the middle. All right. Because I want another loop on this side. I'm going to make it a 7-inch loop on this side. And I'm going to compress this down on top of it just like I did before. And I'm going to leave a long tail like I did with the first ribbon, so that we have longer tails on this side, okay, and shorter tails up on the top. Okay, and our last color is the yellow. And what I meant by the X's, I will show you, is that, see how the X's, we're forming X's with each ribbon. The green X, we have one going this way, we have a loop, we have another loop, okay? You can see how it becomes an X, all right? So that's all we're really doing, is just making X's. Now for the last one, I'm going to start, I'm just knife edging my ribbons, okay? I'm not dovetailing them because they're so thin, all right? That's just my preference. You can certainly dovetail yours if you want to. I'm going to make, again, a long tail on this side of my bow. I'm going to twist it in the middle so that the opposite side of the ribbon is facing up. I'll bring it back and make a loop, and I'm going to make pretty much the same size loop as my green one, 7 inches. I'm going to twist it again in the middle. I'm going to make another loop on this side. Make my same as the green down here, 7 inches. Compress it in the middle. All right, and then just knife edge cut that one. And we're done with the bow. All right. And you can see the X's that we've made with this. And they fill in the different windows. See, we have the yellow X. That sits slightly different than the green X, which sits slightly different than the apricot or coral X. All right, so now what I like to do is I take, let me think about this. How am I going to attach this? Okay. This is called a nub. All right. I keep these from the bottoms of the stems of my flowers when I cut them off. Okay. I'm going to make basically a shepherd's hook out of it. Like that. Okay. And I'm going to take my zip tie, run it, make sure I pick up all of the loops, bring it all the way to the middle of the bow maker against the pegs. I'm going to zip it a little bit, add tension. And before I take my bow out, I just slip the zip tie in the middle of the peg so that as I tighten it, it's coming down the middle of the bow. Okay? Now I can take the bow off, compress it with my hand, hold it, and you'll see the zip tie goes into the divot here. This is the divot that the pegs make. Before I zip it tight, I'm going to take my shepherd's hook. I'm going to put it in and then zip it tight. Okay, so that's the back of the bow. I have this nub, shall we say, from a flower, and then just going to cut off that. Get my bow maker out of the way so I can show you. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this back. Okay, we all see that? All right. And see, I'm not going to put my bowing going across. I'm going to go up and down. And that's why we have the long tails on the bottom, because I want them to hang down the wreath. And these shorter ones, we want to spread out on the top. All right? Now, I need to cut these two pieces down pretty low. And the reason I didn't do it before is because it's very difficult to bend these nubs if they're too small already. Okay, so I've cut them. They're each probably about 1 inch long at the most. I'm going to put glue on them, and then I'm going to push them down into my foam. I'm going to be very patient with it after I put it in the foam, because I just want to keep it there before I manipulate the bow. Okay, I'm just holding it down, pushing it down. Okay, now we can leave those there. As the glue sets, it'll make it, harder to pull out. So we're not going to touch the bow at this point for a little while. What we're going to do is we're going to take that other spray that we had, that we're going to use off the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut this first larger piece right here, okay? That'll be on the bottom, going downward. And see, it makes almost perfect distance there. All right, we're just going to spread it open again, kind of curve this a little bit because we want it to follow the edge of the wreath. Okay, move this leaf to the back side so we see all those blooms. Dip it in your glue, and we're going to put it in the foam. Okay, and just kind of bend it down. Now remember that the first piece up at the top, I zip tied it because my biggest concern was that as it hung on the wall, that one long stem would kind of start falling forward. This down here, I'm not worried because if it falls, it's falling downward, and it's not going to ruin the design. You know, this one would have brought up the whole design. The top one would have brought the whole design forward. So that's why I'm not going to zip tie this one. I'm going to move this yellow flower out to the side a little bit. And then we're just going to take this last one here, and I'm not going to cut it up in as many pieces as I did before. I'm going to try to keep it pretty much intact, and see if I can get it in with minimal, you know, taking it apart. No, I'm going to have to really cut it down low. So let's see if I can. I'm going to just nip it a little bit here and there. Okay. See, and this is the bottom part of that. That's what I make nubs out of. I just cut that off and save this for future use. Okay, so there we have this one. And let's see if we can put this whole thing in without taking it apart. We do have plenty of room right here, so I am going to give it some glue and push it in and just see. It is such a thick stem. Oh, I did get a pretty good crunch out of it, but still not 100% sure. Okay, there we go. Now, any of these leaves, if they're too, see they're big leaves, so if they're too much for your design, just cut them off. We don't have to use them. That one would bother me, so I'm just going to cut it off. Let's see if I can twist this other one around so it faces the front. If it can't, guess what? It's getting cut off. Okay, there we go. We've got this flower here. Okay, just bend the stem how you want it. Okay. This poor little coral flower is being cut off. I'm going to use both of those. I'm not going to cut it off completely, but I do have to get the other pieces laying down better. Excuse me. Better than they are right now. And I am going to take off this big leaf again. It's just taking up too much room, since we do have the ivy there. Okay. Okay, now I see too much down in this area with no flowers, and I see, like I have gaps right here and down here. Of course, the popsicles take care of that one up there. I do have these two flowers that I can add in, but before I do worry about that, I have white daisies. I'm not sure if I want the white daisies or the other white flowers that I have. I have some hydrangeas. I mean, these are not hydrangeas, I'm sorry, they're geraniums, white geraniums that kind of have smaller, see how that kind of, the white kind of just brightens it up a bit? If I don't want to use those, I have cosmos. that are kind of in the same color family, which these are definitely, I'm going to definitely use those. I have these peonies that are cream color. They have a little bit of a pink in it. But again, I think they're too, just like with the geraniums, they're just too bright for the, now how about a yellow? Do you think a yellow peony? I think the yellow peony might be good. I have one right here. I'm going to just cut this one off and just see how it looks in the arrangement. And we're just looking for a flower here. And if it's the right tone and everything, I can put another one over here of the same, and that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to just cut it down a bit. And see, a lot of this, when you have a certain idea of how this is going to come together, you may end up changing it because of what you put in. But see how that yellow kind of fills in that spot? Let's see if I hold it, if I turn it this way for you. Just kind of fills in that spot. And I think I'm going to put another one on the other side up a little bit higher. So I'm going to get one with a little bit longer stem. The other one had a long stem, I just trimmed it, so I'm not going to trim this one as much. Now I don't want the two of them to go opposite of the wreath of each other. I'm going to go up a little higher, so it may cover up that popsicle just a bit. But that's what you like to do. You like to put different layers in. Okay, now I'm going to trim it down just a bit. But I did like the angle on that, so I'm going to go back into that same area. There we go. Okay. So now that the bow is kind of dry, we're going to just kind of fluff it out a bit. Bring the edges down behind stuff. Bring the tails. Okay. These are going to curl around once everything is done. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now, we still have these coral flowers that we want to get in. And then I have put things, and this is all going to differ depending on what you all choose to use for yours if you make these. Okay, and I have this one. Just double pick this, dip it in my glue. Now see, I put two picks on this one to make it longer so it can reach in and come up upwards as opposed to being smothered by everything. Okay, so that one works well. I have my ceiling fans on, and I tell you, the glue creates strings so quickly because by the time I put the glue on the pick and bring it over to the arrangement, it dries, it cools off enough to create a glue. Okay. And this one I just want kind of in the background. I don't want it popping through, I just want it in the background. All right, so I've solved all of my problems except for this big one down here. Now, I think I still need a bloom from my bush here, but I have a smaller bud. You see the bud? I can use the bud instead of a real big bloom. I can just use the bud and put the bud in, and that will take up some of the room. Then the other pieces that I'm going to put in are the cosmos. So you can see that kind of fills it in. And then to add just a little bit more color, we're going to use these cosmos. Now the Cosmo leaves do not match this. We have a bright green and yellowish leaf on everything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Cosmos themselves, but I'm going to take off these leaves. They just don't match. They turn out to look blue next to me. So I'm just going to push them all down, pull those leaves down. And that's okay if there's one leaf or so, like this one has one leaf. It's just the big leaves that I don't want. And there's so much greenery already on our wreath. We don't need to worry about these not having them. So let's just trim off some of these. Not going to cut off the whole bush yet. I don't know that I need all of those. Some of these stems have two, like a bud and a flower. So I'm going to make sure that I get 3 of those and 3 of the flower stems that don't have blooms. Okay, just to keep everything equal. And take this off. All right, so we have, let's see what we need here. Okay. Right that long. Remember, if your flower comes up a little, it's okay. It gives your wreath dimension, and it just listening for that foam to hit the foam, the stems that pierce there. There we go. Okay. So that one has a bud. That one did not hit the foam yet. Gotta just work with that a little bit better. Not quite sure what that is. Let's put a pick on this one just to extend it a little bit because we are reaching pretty far down from the foam. Okay. There we go. I have one more. I'm going to put 3 on the bottom side and 3 on the top side. And maybe I'll do 4 down here and 2 up here because we do have again, the weight of those, the visual weight of those popsicles. I want to just make sure that's okay. Now I have 2 with buds and 1 without. I'm just seeing if I can reach that foam. If not, I'm just going to stick a pick on it. There we go. And I'm just going to try to take the flower that I just put in the Cosmo and bring it to the top of this greenery. First I gotta get it back far enough into the foam. There we go. This greenery is pretty heavy. Okay. As I'm looking, I feel like I need something right here. Not sure if you can see what I'm doing there. It looks like I need something right here to fill out the arc of this. So I'm going to cut this one down a little bit and then glue it. And it's just to fill out, filling out the arc a little bit more. All right, and for that reason, those are where our ribbons are going to go. With that lined up there, I do feel like I need some of an arc up here as well. So So we'll do the same thing with this one. Trim it down just a little bit. And then, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go back to my Cosmos and pull off the remaining. So I ended up using the whole bush, but it's not a problem, because all we're using this for is really just to bring color and fill in spaces. Let's just take 2 for now. Let's just see, because we do have quite a bit up here already. I'm going to still need to put a pick on it. There we go. One last one here. And then I'm going to put one more here. Now I'm going to hopefully, oh, and I do have one more with a bud. Let's see how much room I need. What do I need? It's reaching me. Oh, it should. It definitely has enough. Yeah, I just need to cut it down a bit. It definitely had enough of a stem. It was just getting it in the right location. There we go. You can hear the crack of the foam going as you pierce it. Okay, he's gonna just give me a little trouble because he's the last bloom I want to use. Last bloom, okay. And I'm going to give it just a bend forward just so it stays above these other flowers. All right. So I think as far as the floral side of this goes, we're done with the floral. But I'm going to take I haven't lost the C completely, but see the wreath forms the C, the flowers form the C. You see the C? Yeah. This guy is obstructing the view a little bit. We'll just cut him off if it's too much. All right. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do is I have these little, these are just little wispy, just little filler flowers, okay? And I'm just going to see what they look like. I'm just trying to me this looks so clumpy, you know, because of everything is compact in here. Partially because we don't want to go over the design, but also just the nature of the flower buds that we've used. So what I'm trying to see is if these little, I'm going to take off the leaves. There we go. They're just little buds. They're airy. They're not real, you know, stiff, but they're going to give a little bit of a, see, they rise out of the flowers a little bit. So because of the lacy part of it and the lacy flowers, it visually gives a little bit more airiness. It kind of breaks up the big parts of the blooms. Okay, so if I like them, I didn't glue that first one in, but there we go. Just seeing if they add something. And I think they do. I think they just, and maybe the problem is this stem is just too big for my liking. Now look at that, it opened it up a little bit more. Again, we don't have to lose this, we just have to relocate it. Always just think about that. If it's not working for you visually at one point, just relocate it, or don't feel bad, just take it out. I'm just going to put it down here. Feel kind of in this area. Okay, so let's quickly just put these in with glue. And I want them to come outward. I don't want them to be tucked in. I want them to stand outward. I want them to come up above everything. I'm just going to cut off 5 more. I have 2 in there now. I'll do it in odd numbers, 7. I'm going to cut off 5 quickly, and then we'll call it a day. Cut some long. Sounds weird to cut it long, but I mean leave the stem long as you cut it so that if you need to tuck it in and the foam is a little too far away. Okay. Take the leaves off and then just look for foam. When you hear that little crunch of the foam, that means you're in there. Sometimes when I go to take off the leaves, I end up taking off the, just glue it back on. You can see I'm just pretty much filling in right in this area. I'm not going to bring these down low. At least that's my idea now. I feel like if we just stay in this area that is so packed in and just give it some lift by having stuff come through. There we go. Okay, just lift up your bow. Now I will say when you're making a bow that if you make your loops too small, you can't recover from that, okay? If you make your loops too big, you can always bend the ribbon, you can tuck the ribbon in. So I think if you're going to err on the side of what size loops you want to put in, always go for longer loops. My longest was the coral color, and that was 8 inches. And you can see that it still is up above the arrangement. So that's a good length for this design. Your design will be different, but just keep that in mind. Longer is better than shorter. I don't know how many, when I was first starting out, I'd make an arrangement with too small of loops, and as soon as I got it all done and I'd look at it, the whole arrangement had swallowed up all of the ribbon, and it was so discouraging, you know. So I've learned that I'd rather go big and fix it by tucking, you know, stuff into the bow, or it's definitely easier that way. Okay, so I think this design is done. Okay, hold it up and see if I can get the whole thing in for you. I'm not sure if you can. What I'm going to do is, after I'm done here, I'll take a picture of it and attach it to the end of the video for you so that you can see what I have done. Again, this angle is just not capturing the whole thing, the whole part of this. And also, I did want to point out to you that your center, when you hang these types of wreaths, meaning there's a design on one side but not the other, okay? If you went to the very top of the wreath, like this is the center, if you tried to hook your wreath up here, it would hang crooked because of the weight. So what you're going to have to do is, once your design is completed, just kind of hold it with your finger and you'll find the center, or you won't find the center. I don't want to use the word center, but you will find the point in the wreath where you have to hang it from. Okay, it's just going to be off center, and again, it's because you've designed primarily on one side of the wreath, and it's pulling the weight of that, all this florals and whatnot is pulling it downward. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, I'll take a picture holding this up so that you can see it more completely and how it will hang. I really appreciate your time today. I enjoyed designing with you, and I hope that this has inspired you. Thank you so much, and have a great day.